through you, does the good proponent either know, or does she support the idea that we, every time we get together as a General Assembly, look at the core curriculum and evaluate what the local Board of Eds and the State Board of Eds are doing, and then insert our opinion and judgment as to what should be done through you, Mr. Speaker?
Representative Palm.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, no, it is not routine for us to get involved in the minutia of what individual districts do. However, it has been brought up several times, questioning why we are codifying into law something that we generally already do here in the state. And yes, there is a precedence for that, including this session. Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Betts.
So thank you for that answer. So I'm to understand that you support and agree with the role of the legislature to interfere with the statutory responsibility of the Board of Eds when it comes to what should be in a curriculum, what grades they should be taught, and how the subject should be taught. Is that your view through you, not your view, is that what you're advocating for in this bill through you, Mr. Speaker?
Representative Palm.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, I do not see this as an intervention or meddling in any way. I see it as codifying into law what our own State Board of Ed believes is best practices through the NGSS. Through you.
Representative Betts.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that answer. So is there something along that line, in that thinking, is there something that specifically prohibits this from being done if this law were not put into place? Could this not be done? If you say it's being codified in practice, why do we need it if it's already being done through you, Mr. Speaker?
Representative Palm.
It is my understanding that codifying things into state statute gives them a kind of gravitas that a recommendation or common practice does not have. For example, we passed a bill to increase the penalties for the sale of fentanyl, which codified the classification of fentanyl, a synthetic opioid analgesic, as a narcotic substance. By regulation, the Department of Consumer Protection already classifies fentanyl as a narcotic substance. So there are other examples of that, ranging from relatively minor to some major codifications, and it is a common practice. And again, it sends a message that we here in Connecticut take very seriously the threat of climate change, and that we are empowering our teachers to teach the best practice that most already do. Through you.
Representative Betts.
Thank you very much for that answer. I'm not talking here about climate change or any other subject that the legislature wishes to speak. I'm talking about responsibility for core curriculums and who should be teaching it, why it should be taught, who's reviewing it, and giving teachers the ability to modify it accordingly. It's not one size that fits all. It has absolutely nothing to do with climate change except for the fact that you've added that in the language. What I'm talking about is jurisdictional responsibility, and is it the role of the legislature to be continuing to do this? If we want to do this, then I question why we even have the local state boards of ed. So let me ask you this. Should we get rid of the local state board of ed if we're going to start doing their job for them? Through you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Palm.
Assuming that is a question to me, I'm not in favor of abolishing local boards of ed. Through you.
Representative Betts.
Thank you, and I'm not either. What I am saying, though, is we are inserting ourselves into a system to which we don't have qualifications, we have opinions, we don't have any expertise. It is currently being done right now, but that doesn't seem to be good enough. Now we have to pass a law. I mean, you talk about having no confidence in people and making people look bad. My word, if I were on a board of ed and I saw the state legislature was doing something like this, it'd make me think, if we're already doing it, what in the world are you doing passing a law saying that what we're already doing? As a matter of fact, why even bother having me on a state board of ed if you're not going to let me do my job? Who would want to sit on a board of ed doing their statutory responsibilities? Who would want to be a teacher, for that matter, trying to teach a course and then being lectured or told by the General Assembly, this is how you should do it, as though we have any experience or background to it? I cannot believe that we're taking this up. This is not about climate change. This is about overstepping our responsibilities and jurisdiction. And if we're going to do it with this, why don't we do it with other things that we have in statute? It is amazing to me in this day and age, when we have so many crucial things to take up, this is what we're focused on. I am absolutely stunned that we would be so arrogant as to insert ourselves into doing something like this. Absolutely amazed. And I can't wait to see what else we're going to introduce and interfere with next time. If you think it's hard to recruit people or get people to serve on volunteer boards, now you know why. This is astonishing to me, and I strongly oppose to it, not only because it's not needed, it's not our role. We can't even do the job we've been elected to do. And now we're interfering in other things for PR purposes or for whatever. It could be climate change today, it could be something else next year. Is that really what we're supposed to be doing up here? I'll tell you, I don't have the expertise or the desire to do it. And I think it's a real shame. It's a slap in the face to the local Board of Eds, the teachers, and frankly, even to the kids. I'm a parent, and I know darn well, if I was unhappy with something that was not being taught, I'd be speaking to the teachers. I'd be speaking to the local Board of Eds. There is nothing that prevents them from doing that now, and yet I've not heard from one single person, not one, in my entire district about this issue or the idea that we should be interfering or they don't have the ability to be able to do things themselves. This is terrible legislation. We are sending an awful, awful message. I am sorely disappointed in our interfering with something that has been statutorily assigned to other people, and I strongly oppose this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, sir.